Hello everyone, Fancy here. You're watching FANTAVISION, and today is another Tales from Retail. I know it's been a while since we've had a normal Tales from Retail, and that's because, like I've said, I'm running out of ideas. So if you have any ideas at all, please, for the love of God, drop them in the comments down below. Any help is very just appreciated. So let's start in on today's Tales from Retail, and that is about GameStop scams, because people have been wondering what scams have, GameStop done to customers, and what have customers done to GameStop. Real quick, today I'm drinking the Kua Bay IPA by Kona Brewing Co., and it's pretty good. Pretty good. I like it a lot. It's got kind of like it's of course got the hops like an IPA, and it's got a very caramely taste, kind of like a golden ale. Very interesting. Anyway, so let's jump in and discuss. First, let's talk about scams that GameStop has pulled on the general public. Now, a lot of these are not really scams by the corporation, not the corporation itself, but by the employees trying to meet up, keep up with the quota that the corporation has placed upon them. One such scam is adding items that are not actually given by the customer to be added to the transaction. What do I mean? Now, this can be ranging from a variety of different things. They could be adding gameplay guarantees without telling the customers. They could be adding the Power Rewards card without telling customers. They could be adding pre-orders. They could be another big scam that I've heard a lot of GameStop employees do, and I think we actually had somebody fired from one of my locations, was he would go into the system during the transaction. As he's talking to the customer, he'd find a pre-order that had a lot of money on it, cancel it, put the $5 back onto that game, and then put $5 in a bunch of other games to pad his numbers. Now, of course, this is very unethical, and this is a scam on the customer, because now they don't have that large chunk of money towards that game. They only have $5. And of course, if they're going to check their account online, or they ask to check their account in store, they're going to see all these extra pre-orders they did not add. So this is going to piss off the customer. They're going to find out which employee did it. Very easy to do, which is why this guy got fired. And ultimately, even if it doesn't go to the length of the guy getting fired or the customer trying to figure out who did it, they're just going to cancel all of those other games that they don't remember pre-ordering it and putting it back on that game. So some other poor employee is going to have to deal with somebody else's unethical decision. It's shit like that happens all the time. I mean, Camelot's talking about how at his store, they would apply the English tax. If they didn't speak English, they just put a Power Rewards card on the transaction, and what are they going to do? They can't speak English. That's so screwed up. And I've heard stuff like this happening at other GameStops in this area. Had nothing to do with the language barrier, from what I heard. They were just doing it to people that were unsuspecting, meaning the elderly, probably people that don't speak English, people that don't really know what's going on, or they just try to sneak it in to see if they notice. If they don't notice, congratulations, you've got yourself a pro card. I mean, it's sad that employees will go to this length just to meet their goals. I mean, when you hit these goals, like I've stated in the goals video, that it's just a stick. There's no carrot. And what I mean by that, I mean, there's no reward for doing well. If you do really well in your numbers, good for you, idiot. Do it again. If you do bad, you might get your hours cut. You're going to get yelled at. You can get written up. You can also get fired if you continually don't meet your goals. And a lot of people felt like they had to do that. They felt like they had to scam people in order to get their goals up. And that's just it's so messed up that's what that company has bred into the workforce. Another scam that was common during the days of pushing the GameStop credit cards, because I feel like they don't push it anymore, was that basically all the employees had to sign up for one. You were peer pressured by your managers, your coworkers, literally everybody in the store was pressured into getting one of these stupid fucking credit cards. And I say that so angrily is because I have one. Because every single day I came in when I didn't have a credit card through GameStop, they'd hound me on it. And you didn't even get any good deals. You didn't get anything good out of it. I mean, at least Amazon gives you like $60, and American Express gives you 2% cash back. GameStop gives you the middle finger and 15,000 points. What is 15,000 points? It's $15. They basically give you just enough to renew the Power Rewards Pro card. Because of course they do. Because GameStop's a piece of shit. So that, like I said, hits close to home because I was one of those people that was pressured into this thing that I did not want. I've yet to cancel it, but I've also never used the damn credit card because I don't want GameStop to have the satisfaction of knowing they've got another person using their stupid ass card that has an incredibly high interest rate, by the way. So another thing with the GameStop credit card was that we were basically told to tell people that, they've got this long to pay for whatever the hell they're paying for. So you're trying to convince people, oh, you don't have to pay for these things now. You've got 6 months of interest free. And of course, it's a common tactic when it comes to pushing credit cards, but I feel like that tactic is just unethical to begin with because if you can't afford to buy whatever that is right now, especially at a video game place, I mean, yes, they're expensive, but at the same time, if you can't pay for that thing right now, I feel like in 6 months, you're still going to be paying it off. And a lot of people had issues like that, and they're still paying it off. Again, this is not just a GameStop exclusive issue, but I'm always going to have a problem with credit card companies because they make it seem like you have more money than you actually do. They approve people for insane amounts of credit, even if they weren't doing well with their credit. And I mean, I had coworkers that thought they could afford a bunch of this stuff, but of course they work at GameStop, so they couldn't, and they were paying interest. And like I said, the interest rate was awful in this thing. I think it was like 29%. And I know that's, again, close to the usual interest for a lot of these stupid cards out there that these stores try to push on the customers. But I mean, it's like not only does this card have barely any benefits at all, I don't remember if it had any cash back at all. I just know that some purchases at GameStop, you had a longer time to pay off. So I just have a problem with that morally. And it feels like credit card companies are taking advantage of lower income people. They're trying to make them feel like they have more money when they really know that they're just going to be slamming them later for that interest rate. And a lot of the different talks that we had with people, I feel like it was misleading people. And that was a huge problem with me. So I didn't really push the credit card. I didn't give a shit. I mean, I got yelled at pretty much every week for not getting people to sign up for the stupid ass card. But I'm like, you know what? I'm here to sell games. I'm not here to pitch a credit card. It's ridiculous. We're not paid enough to pitch credit cards. This is stupid. And I know a lot of other stores, Walmart was really going hard after that for a while. Target was going for that. You had to have a certain number of credit card signups. It's just messed up. You shouldn't have a quota for something as big as a credit card. Power Rewards card, I guess. I mean, it's just $15. It's not that big of a deal, but a credit card can screw somebody over for the rest of their life if they make the wrong decision. If you're pressuring somebody into spending more money than they can afford, it just feels wrong. Another thing that you really need to worry about is being misled, because I definitely had some coworkers, and I also heard of some other people that were doing this. They would tell people, oh, we don't have a new copy of that. You have to buy the used. When we did have new copies in stock. They would check the system, see that we had a couple copies, but they really wanted to push that Power Rewards card, or they just wanted to get their used dollars up. Because like I said, GameStop makes all of their money off of used games. So if you're selling new games, they're only making $5. If you're selling a used game, they're making a solid 40% profit. And that's huge. That's insane how much profit they get, because of course, like their trade-in values are not that great. Another scam that isn't nearly as prevalent as those other scams is the employees canceling pre-orders and pocketing the money. Now this isn't a GameStop problem. This is a person/employee problem. This is an employee that obviously needs more money than they're getting paid, and they're willing to steal at this point because they're not gaining anything when it comes to goals or anything like that. They're in fact hurting their own numbers, but they don't care, and they're just canceling pre-orders straight out and taking the money out of the register. We had somebody got fired at my location for doing this. Camelot talks about this. I'm sure plenty of other YouTubers that talk about GameStop have talked about this happening because it's a very common thing to happen. If a pre-order sits in the system for, I believe, like a month after the game comes out, I believe it already counts as a cancellation for the store. So maybe the coworker or the employee rather feels like, oh, these people forgot about their pre-order, I'm just going to cancel it and pocket the cash. If you do this enough times, you're going to get caught, because at some point somebody's going to come in and go, I know I had this pre-ordered, I want my money back. They would usually target the $5 pre-orders because that's the smallest amount you can put on a game, and it's not an amount that a lot of people are going to really remember that they put on a game. Whereas, $40, $50, almost paid off the game, they're obviously going to remember that amount of money. But anywhere like, $5, $7, some random amount, under 10, I feel like these people thought they could just get away with it. And no, don't do this if you work at GameStop. You're stealing from these customers. And I don't get why you're making GameStop an even worse company by doing this. You're just screwing these people out of their $5, $10, sometimes $15, depending on how many pre-orders you're canceling off their account. You're not hurting GameStop, you're hurting an individual. If you think, oh, well, I'm just screwing over GameStop, you're really not. Because when that customer comes in, it's going to be a huge hassle for them to get their money back, prove that it was their money, that they didn't cancel it. It gets very difficult down the line, depending how long it's been. But if that does happen, they will get to the bottom of it. Your manager will find out, and you will get caught. And if you've stolen enough, or if your manager just feels like, they're going to press charges and you're going to go to jail. Do not do that. That is the worst scam that any employee can pull on a customer. Another scam that you need to look for is a lazy employee. I've seen employees do it at other stores. It was not my place to say anything. They were just taking in every game. Why is it following my hand? The little box that's supposed to follow my face is following my hand. You're supposed to, check all the games to see if there are scratches. But for some reason, these employees were just taking them all in as defective just so they didn't have to process them. That's ridiculous. I mean, it's not that much extra time and effort, and it also helps your store. So not only are they hurting the customer's trade-in value, they're also hurting GameStop. And they're hurting themselves, really, because they're lowering the amount of trade-in credit that they're taking in on their login. It doesn't make sense. It's just pure laziness. I've seen it over and over and over. Look out for that. Pay attention when you're in GameStop. Make sure they're not screwing you over. Because I've heard that they do it way too often, and I've seen that happen to way too many people. I can honestly say I've never done any of these things to people. Like I said, I did do a couple things like GPG as kind of a joke to see if people would go for it. I asked them if they want a GPG in the DS game. They go for it. That's not a scam, but I kind of don't understand why you'd put a gameplay guarantee on a DS game. Or a gameplay guarantee, by the way, if you don't remember what that is, or if nobody's broken it down for you, and it basically guarantees your game for a year against any scratches or defects. So I guess if you, for some reason, drop your DS game down a flight of stairs and it hits every single stair on the way down and it bends one of those metal pins, then yeah, the gameplay guarantee makes sense. But I had people get gameplay guarantees on like a $1.99 game. You're spending $1 on the gameplay guarantee. So you've just spent another 50% on this game to insure it for some reason. Why? Why would you do that? But most of the time, they're going to ask you, do you want scratch protection? And I got to tell you guys, scratch protection at this point in this generation is almost a scam in itself, because it's not protecting you from anything. Unless you have small children and they're going to be throwing the discs around like Frisbees, these are Blu-ray discs. These are very sturdy discs. Xboxes don't kill your games anymore. PlayStations don't kill your games. There's no Switch is a cartridge. There's no reason to get these scratch protection things on any of these games. Save your money for other things. You do not need scratch protection. Even if you're one of those people that gets super worried, you're really anxious, oh, I might scratch the game at $60 out, they kind of try to talk you into it. You don't need it. You're not going to have an issue. But again, if you have kids, that's completely different. just trying to save you guys some money here, because I know there's a lot of people out there that just buy warranties for literally everything, when most of the time you don't need a warranty on just most things, honestly, because you get a manufacturer warranty, you get, I mean, that's something else besides the point, but most of the time a manufacturer warranty is good enough. However, I might recommend the warranty on the used systems, because you never know how long that used system is going to last. Most of the time it's going to last longer than the warranty, but I feel like if you're for some reason buying a used system, I wouldn't. I took enough in that I definitely wouldn't. Sure, they look fine on the outside. Sure, it's going to run, but there are a lot of them that we wiped like an inch of grime off of. It's disgusting. God knows what it looks like on the inside, and who knows how long that system's going to keep chugging away with whatever type of home it was in. If it was a smoker's home, there's probably tar and gunk and just nasty shit that's going to clog up those fans, and over time that system's just not going to work. So I just don't recommend buying used. And apparently, according to Spawnwave Media, the refurbished ones are just as bad, if not worse. So maybe just buy a new system. You know, save up a little bit more, get the manufacturer's warranty, and you don't have to worry about getting a lemon of a system. So those are the GameStop scams that I can think of at the moment. But the customer scams, I took part in a lot of these, because they're not really scams. It's just you take advantage of a certain trade-in promotion and you just exploit it, sort of. I mean, there are certain games at one point, it was like some weird Spider-Man game, Plants vs. Zombies, and something else. And for some reason, their values hiked up big time. They were more expensive when it came to trade-in, like you got more trade-in credit than you'd buy them at the store. So you go buy these games at the store with the trade-in credit and whatever bonus percentage at that time, you made an insane amount of profit. I mean, I knew GameStop employees that do this. I did this. Of course, I wasn't working for GameStop at the time. I just saw other people that were doing it on like Cheap Ass Gamer and whatnot. I even made a video about it. I've always made videos about the different trade-in loopholes that I find, because I want you guys to take advantage of them as well. And honestly, you think it might hurt GameStop, but I mean, they're getting more of these games and I guess they're games that people don't give a shit about. I guess it doesn't really help GameStop that much. I guess it sends you to the store to buy things with all that credit you got, but you're the one making the profit, not GameStop at that point. And if you're like me, you bought a bunch of new stuff, so they really didn't make a whole lot of money in the long run. So I don't know. I don't feel bad about most of the customer scams. There are some customer scams that are pretty sketchy. Some people use GameStop as like a bank for some reason. I don't really know if that's a scam. That's just a weird thing that people do. I don't quite get the mentality of that. People say drug money. People say money laundering, stuff like that. I feel like there are easier ways to do it. I don't know why you'd use GameStop as that sort of thing. I don't know. There were people that tried to do the quick money change. I know I talked about that in the Thieves episode, where they would give you a certain amount of money, you give them change, they quickly try to change the dollar amount. That's a very common thing at every retail establishment. Some people would say, oh, I gave you this, face dollar, you only gave me change for this. That's, again, another thing that happens at all the retail places. What we would do is just go, well, let me count the register for you then. Most of the time they go, never mind, I'm just going to leave. And that's how you know that they were trying to scam you. Sometimes they let you sit there and count it all out, and you go, nope, I'm fine here. Looks like you gave me the right dollar amount. Then they kind of get upset, but I mean, you proved them wrong. Your manager's sitting there watching, kind of chuckling to himself. Yeah, none of these people ever got that sort of thing. A couple other customer scams. People trying to, well, I guess people could just do this successfully. I mean, anybody could do this, honestly. I mean, there's no protection for GameStop against this at all. People would buy a used game. They could go back home, take their scratched copy, put it in the used disc, or, the used game case, bring it back, say, it's scratched, and you know what? I just want a full refund. I don't want to play this game anymore. I don't like it. And they get a full refund. They have a game that works now, and they just screwed over GameStop. Of Of course, GameStop's just going to ship it back to the defective place. They're going to clean it up and resell it again anyway. But still, I mean, that's kind of a scam at that point. You can't really do return scams at GameStop. I know Walmart, Target, maybe not Target, but Walmart definitely. And I believe Kohl's is starting to take Amazon stuff without receipts. Any place that allows no receipt returns is very liable to have return fraud. People will buy it somewhere cheaper, return it to that place, make a profit. That's also illegal. I don't recommend it. But you can't do that at GameStop. So we never had that happen because there's just too much information on the receipt and their return policy is way too locked down for that to happen. GameStop has really protected themselves from a lot of different things because the return policy is both strict and kind of fair at the same time. With new games, new products, actually just new games. New games, you open them, they're yours. You're stuck with it. Doesn't matter if you don't like it. They have been doing this new thing actually where you can return a game, I believe within 48 hours of it coming out for certain titles. There's like some sort of guarantee, like, oh, if this game is shit, you bring it back and we'll give you the full refund, but it'll be trading credit, I believe. So I don't really know how you could scam that system unless you just beat the game super quick and bring it back, but that's not really a scam. That's just kind of good job. You have a lot of free time and you beat the game. Your reward is trading credit. Congratulations. And besides that, I can't really think of too many other scams that were going on at GameStop. If you guys can think of anything that I missed, please let me know. If you have any ideas for future Tales from Retail, please let me know in the comments. This was the last one on my list for GameStop. I do have other stuff for Walmart. I'm going to get my roommate involved with his movie theater stories, so Tales from Retail is not going anywhere. But if you want more GameStop Tales from Retail, instead of me scouring the comments of old videos, trying to like smack my brain to remember all of this stuff from like 4 years ago, please tell me your ideas down below. Thanks for watching, everyone. And as always, have a fantastic day. See you guys. So I've got some videos on the horizon. I was going to make the PlayStation Classic video and put it up yesterday, but unfortunately it requires a USB 2.0 in order to hack it. Maybe I'm wrong. You can let me know in the comments as well if you're still watching. If you're still watching, thank you. And there's a couple other videos I want to do as well throughout the week. I was going to do one on how to hack the PlayStation and how to put games on it. I know there's lots of other videos out there, and honestly, I'm just going to be watching a video to do it in the first place. It's not like I figured out how to hack it myself. So let me know if you want my version of how to hack it, or just let me know if you want the original video that I was going to make, which is the PlayStation Classic worth 20 bucks? And I'm definitely going to make that one. Like I said, I just have to wait for the USB 2.0 stick to come in so I can hack the system, which actually it should be coming in when I get home today from work. So that'll be cool. Get that all hacked, play it a bit, test it out, see if the frame rate's good. And I'm also going to include some instructions on how to play 2-player with the hack, because a lot of people don't include that in their hacking videos or in their step-by-step breakdown. So look forward to all that cool stuff.